Malaysia and Assalamualaikum. I'm Adila Azam, your host for Relatable.
And I'm Atira Aminuddin, and you're tuning in on Sinar Daily's female talk show where we'll be discussing on women issues from around the globe. And today topic is one that's especially close to our hearts,
Yes,
right?
definitely. It's especially spicy because
Yes.
we have the upcoming GE15 just under the horizon. So today we have two esteemed guests who are here with us today, and we're very honored to have you with us for today's show. So we're going to start with Dr. Harlina Haliza Siraj, the founding director of Academy Dr. Har, and the former professor of OBGYN and medical education at UKM Faculty of Medicine. So, Atira, why not you introduce our second guest?
Yes, our second guest, Dr. Zairini Azmi, Senior Lecturer, Unit for Research on Women and Gender Kanita, School of Social Sciences, University Science Malaysia. Thank you so much for taking time to come to our show. In the heat of GE15, I'm pretty sure everyone is like busy deciding who wants to vote who
Yeah.
and who is contesting, and yeah.
I'm seeing that a lot of people are also following on the issue of women representation in politics, especially in the parliament or in leadership roles. We see in the last GE14, right,
Yes.
Atira, that we have an increase in the number of women becoming candidates and eventually elected into office.
Yes.
But the number is still very low,
It's
and we
very
have the
low.
stats for
Yes.
you, right?
Yes, that's true. Because the candidates was only like 36%, and those out of 36% candidates, only half were elected and became members of parliament. And yet, with 14.8% representation in Malaysia, we still have one of the lowest female representations in the cabinet compared to our regional neighbors, that is not a good sign, guys.
That is
not a good
definitely
sign.
not a good sign because the truth is, in Malaysia, women make up more than 50% of the general population. And this is also reflected in the electorate demographic. There are more women voters, female voters, than there are male voters. And yet somehow they are not represented in the results or even in the choice of candidacy.
Yes.
As Atira mentioned just now, only 30% of candidates are women. And even though 30% women in leadership role or in cabinet is not yet in the law of Malaysia, Malaysian political parties have shown some effort over the years, but it is still not enough. That is the stat that we're getting. So with 14.8% of Malaysian parliament comprising of female leaders, let's look at our regional neighbors for a moment for a comparison of where we really stand. So following us is actually our next door neighbor, Thailand, at 15.75%. Still very low. Why very low? Because the global average of women representation in parliament is about 26.7%. And the regional average is about 20%. So both Malaysia and Thailand are below the regional average. But let's look at our other neighbors. Indonesia is at 21.04%. And then we have the Philippines, right, Athira?
Yes, 28%. And Vietnam, 30%. We
Yes.
are not even close,
We are
but
not
they
even
are on the
close.
right path, and I hope
Yes.
we will be on the right path very, very soon.
I hope so too, because
Yes.
Singapore is also at 21.81%, and Singapore is the only developed country in the list.
Yes.
So I think Vietnam, being the fastest growing economy in the whole of Asia for 2022, to me is not a coincidence that they have over 30% of female representation in parliament. Definitely the power, insight, wisdom, and abilities of female leadership
Yes.
actually contributed to Vietnam's growth this year. So I want to go straight to the question after painting those pictures for our two guests here. Why do you think we are lagging behind our ASEAN countries, our ASEAN neighbors, when it comes to political representation of women in politics? And I want to start with Dr. Zairini. Why do you think this is so?
Why you are lagging behind other Asian countries? You just provide us with the statistics. Yeah, there are many reasons for that. Like you said, Atira, we only have 14.8% or 14.9% women MPs, very low. Then we talk about political representation. We are not talking about women with the grassroots. We are not talking about women who are busy with political activities, engaging with the communities. We are not talking about the significant roles they are playing as a campaigners, or canvassing votes from house to house, knocking their doors. We are talking about representation of women at the decision-making level. Okay, women as leaders, women as ministries, women as deputy ministries, women in political structure. This is all about power. I think I think it's not easy for men to give way to women. Okay, to have at least 30% women at decision-making level, meaning that less women at the decision-making level. So we are dealing with a very thick patriarchal culture in our politics, in our political parties, in our society. Our society that has not our society still has this belief that men are better leader than women. You know, so those are the biggest hurdles, I would say, for women to be to have more women at decision making level, or for them to select women as their leaders.
Okay. So to Dr. Zairini, you said that it's culture, it's part of a patriarchal system, and men not being able to, I guess, give way.
Yeah, you
when
think they
it's
want to
deserving.
share their power with women? I don't think so.
It's getting heaty. So I want to hear Dr. Halina's opinion about it. Do you agree with Dr. Zairini, or you also have a separate theory that you want to put
Okay,
forward?
first and foremost, I think it's high time that we have this conversation. And it's really very encouraging when I'm listening to you all talking. You know, we have to have more women like this talking about this and asking the question why. Well, I would say that that is part of the problem, but you would have to see, you know, I would like to bring in the global gender gap, you know, that we would, you know, every year there would be sort of some kind of ranking, and we are definitely low down there when it comes to global gender gap. And this gap is going to be seen with 4 indices, yeah? And it would be educational level, and then health status. The third one would be economic participation, and the fourth one would be political. You see, Malaysia is actually doing very well when it comes to educational level. It's even more than one. One is that we are actually exceeding men, and we know that the enrollment is 60-70% women. And of course, in health status, this is where I come from. We have one of the lowest maternal mortality in the region, you know, and there is always our success story that our women are healthy. But why is this not translated into the economic participation? Yeah, and worst of all is the political participation. Where are all those bright women, healthy women, you know, and they are not really participating in making a decision? Okay, so this is really a big question that we should ask. Actually, I've asked that, of course, Zairini have asked that long ago, but I'm so happy that it's finally here for everybody to think, what is happening? Okay, so Zairini is talking about culture. It's more than that, actually. It's actually our mindset. So it's internal and external factor. The women themselves still think that they are not good enough.
Right.
We're never good enough, you know, we're never smart enough, and we allow other people to make decisions for us. You see, the 30% is not just a magical figure, you know. This 30% is actually coming from the physics theory, where when you want to actually influence, you know, the state of any element, the molecules, you know, it has to be 30% or more before you can actually affect the whole, you know, element, whether it's going to be gas or it's going to be solid or it's going to be liquid. So 30% is just the crucial figure for us to make a difference. So, but again, if you have a policy of saying 30%, and you don't just grab any women to just fill in. We do not want it to be a token. You know, so we really have to work towards that. And in fact, Atira, Adila, and Zairini, we have to be more than 30%. Because as you say, we are 50%. So it should be 50%.
At least 30%, but we're aiming for more.
Yes,
of course.
from
So we don't
40%.
stop at 30%. So I guess the challenge is this, you know, everybody must have this, you know, this kind of awareness that, you see, when women are not presented in any negotiation table, we don't start meeting. We must have women here because we need to listen and, you know, be sensitive towards their needs. As the point now, we are definitely not being represented.
That's
If I may add to that as well,
Yes, please.
Prof. Halina talked about how women lack of confidence, self-confidence in terms of presenting offering themselves as leaders, also because lack of role models, lack of access to to political structure, lack of access to political power. And when you don't see women up there and, saying that, okay, I can also be a leader, lack of role model, like I said. So indirectly, it's sort of, okay, my role is here with the community. I'm good with this. I'm happy with where I am.
In the
I did a study
background.
on political ambition of women in PAS and UMNO. And most of them, majority of them will say, oh, I have no ambition in politics. I've never thought about becomes a member of parliaments, of, be a representative in state assembly. But if the leader said I have to contest, then I would do it. So some of them, but there's other group of women who also like, okay, this is sort of amanah, responsibility. You have to be visible, make sure that they can see you and they can be leaders. So we have different groups of women. So women is not homogeneous. Yeah, that's why the way they was also not homogeneous because of that. Yeah. So who they choose as their representatives also
It's very different.
Very different because that's not similar in terms of why they choose the candidates.
Yeah. I love that we are starting to talk about mindset almost immediately, because we're going to deep dive into that. Knowing that Dr. Zairini, you co-authored a very important research paper that looks into the voting patterns and the voting decisions of female voters in the northern of Malaysia. And can you share with us some of the findings from your research that you feel are relatable to today's discussion, especially what you and Dr. Harlina just mentioned just now?
Okay. Let me point out one of the most significant findings is that Malay women, they did not vote for other women.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is interesting, I think. Why? Again, it goes back to role model. Also, it goes back to the perception and the mindset that men are better leader than women. Women supposed to follow through. Women supposed to be followers. So this is very hard to change.
Yeah.
But based on our research, I mean, Dr. Umar, myself, and a few other colleagues, we found that also that majority women, including married women in all three age groups, 31 until 51 and above, they opted for candidates. So they actually pay attention on who are contested in the elections. They assess the candidates, they assess the candidate potential, credibility, whether the candidate can govern the state or the federal, so to speak. But again, you have two questions when they assess the candidate. From what perspective are they looking at the candidate? From party's perspective, party loyalist perspective, or is it from women perspective? Okay? So this is very interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have many studies that look into voting behavior of female voters in Malaysia.
Right.
And our study is very limited. We just look at whether they're going to vote for women. From what age groups, that's about it. So I think we have to do another
More
study.
studies.
More study to look into this matter.
Yeah.
Because other studies about voting behavior in Malaysia is more looking into general populations. Yeah. We don't have sex discrete data. The practice in our academic among our academic scholars, if I can say that, Proha, we do not pay attention to sex discrete data. And also even our data from government agencies also, we don't have that. So
They lack the meat, right? It's a lot of the numbers,
quantity,
but there's no reason.
the narrative.
Why.
We need the narrative, the
that
why,
yeah.
the why. It shows that, okay, so women vote for candidate. So we
Yeah.
have to
What
find
kind of
a
candidate?
reliable,
What's the
qualified
characteristics?
candidate. But what kind of candidate?
Yeah.
So does it matter if we have female candidate with equal qualification with men?
With the
Yeah.
So does it
Will it
make
make a
any
difference?
difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
Doctor, do you think that the adoption of the 30% female candidate quota is enough to change the demographic representation of our parliamentarians?
Oh, I believe so. Oh, sorry.
Yes, that's right.
I'm sorry to
Please,
Yes, go ahead, Doctor, by all
whenever.
means.
See the
The
passion,
floor is
right?
yours.
Yeah,
Please.
of course. We have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But we have been talking about at least 30% women at least long time ago.
Yes.
2008 election,
Yeah.
2004 election. So we have to start somewhere. Stop talking about it. Do it.
Yeah.
Implement it. Okay.
When I think about it, I also feel it is a bit of a high expectation put on female candidates, because in the last GE, 36% of total candidates are women, meaning
Yes.
they're only fielding 36% of all candidates are women, and yet we expect that from that 36%, we will be able to have 30% female representation in parliament.
Yes.
That means almost everybody needs to win,
Yes,
and that's almost
yes.
impossible, right?
Yeah,
And that was
yeah.
not the case anyway.
Yeah,
It was
that's
only
not
half.
the case.
Only
Yeah,
14.9%,
only half.
yeah.
Yes, and
But then
that's
it
like
goes
the
back
problem.
Yeah.
whom the woman vote for.
Yes.
During general elections.
And the lack of data.
The lack of
The
data.
lack
The
of
things
the
that
lack
we
of
don't
data,
have.
yeah.
Okay.
I might want to
Yeah,
put in,
please.
Yes.
my proposal in that.
Okay.
As you're saying, 36% are the candidates.
Yeah.
They were the
Yes.
candidates. And of course, it's impossible that all of them will win.
Yes.
And the main reason is because the political party themselves, they have not really, I would say, committed to put their women leaders in areas what we call as the safe havens, where it will be just like, everybody would just vote because that is actually the strong fought for the parties.
Yeah.
But that will be given to other, male leaders, and our female leaders, even though they are so of high caliber and of high competency, is actually being put in areas where they are going
They're
to
going
fight
to
with
lose.
another,
Yes.
Female candidates.
another male candidate or another female candidate. And definitely we have to sort of question the sincerity of the political parties. You not just say it out. You have to sort of show, and hence we need men who are more gender sensitive and who are serious in appreciating women's idea and opinion to be our leaders as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just those who would just, put women aside.
Just because they're women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's also an insult to feel women just because we are women or just because of our gender, because we're more
Yes.
than just
We're more
our
than that.
gender.
We're capable.
Yeah,
of
but
much
that,
more.
but that's the thing. When we talk about at least 30% women at decision making level, and they goes with that. Okay, you have to go with merit. Okay, we can just put women who are not qualified to be there, and they're always talking about merit when talking about female candidates or female leadership.
Yeah.
They never use similar criteria for men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
the double standard, right?
yeah, the
check
checkbox
double
is not the
standard,
same.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember I did this interview with one of the members of this one political party, and she said that when they wanted to fill in women candidate, they have the long list, at least 20 criteria for women to be a candidate in general
decides
election
those criteria?
2004, I think. So that was crazy.
Yes.
Okay, and you have to take. But the biggest hurdle would be for women is actually to get permission from the husband.
Oh.
You don't need other criteria. The first criteria is permission from the
Permission.
husband.
Wow.
You get that, the rest is like easy, man. Because women, when the husband said no, they wouldn't dare to proceed
Yes.
with the nomination.
Okay.
What do you think? I don't know. What do
We're
you think?
gonna go into this further because this is getting really, really interesting. That double standard that look into merit
The
and the fact that the criteria
Yes.
and the fact that male candidates. I mean, we've been through a couple of elections. We know some people who should not be contesting but still contesting and active, and we're gonna go into that further. But first, we're gonna go into a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Well, I have been in Shah Alam for 3 terms, and currently the party is discussing whether I should still be contesting that seat. I feel that I should make way for a younger candidate, and which we have already worked on, and we've been trying to develop apa yang dikatakan sebagai pelapis lah, the second liners to take over.
Hi, my name is Mohaini Mahmood, and I'm the co-founder of Kido Care. It's natural that people fear what they don't know. You know, back then in 2018 when we first started, we were an online babysitting platform, and it was something so unfamiliar to most people. People are so used to the old model of engaging babysitters, pengasuh, People were used to the idea of a live-in maid, a live-in helper, someone who lives in your household to take care of your children. In 2018, we came up with the idea of, a stranger, another woman coming to your house to take care of your children just for a few hours, and then after the service is done, that person leaves.
The reason why we are with DAP is because DAP also emphasizes on the same values on the issue of integrity, on the issue of good governance, on the issue of accountability, and we agree. Yeah, on these issues, there is no necessity for us to take into consideration the fact that they are Muslims or they are not Muslims. Because what we want is a government that emphasizes on good governance, whether they are Muslims or they are non-Muslims. What's important is that they agree to govern in the way that Islam preaches.
And yeah, we were just in the midst of a really heated up conversation with the criteria and the permission from the husband.
Yes.
And as we mentioned earlier, the representation is very, very important. That 30% is just a head start, it's a
Yep.
kickstart, right?
And we're
Yeah.
not even meeting that 30% quota. And actually, we left you off during one of the most heated
Yes.
moments of the discussion, which is where we talk about what are the hurdles that are preventing women from participating more in politics as candidates, so that they can one day become hold leadership positions. So Dr. Zarini mentioned something really interesting, is that based on her research, she found that in some groups of women, to them, they need to have permission from their husband. They need to get permission from their husband in order for them to feel that they can contest, or to even have the confidence to contest in elections. And at the same time, there's like a very, very long list of criteria that female candidates have to meet, that we don't think male candidates have to
Go through
go through the same
Yes.
hurdles as well. So I want to get your input on this, Dato'. What do you think some of the hurdles that women have to go through when they want to participate in politics as candidates or as legislators and leaders?
Well, actually, Adila, this is not surprising at all. When, even not in politics, everywhere else, women has to be 10 times better than men to get where we are. Okay, and of course, when it comes to politics, the hurdle is becoming more. Okay, and to me, all our women leaders who actually managed to overcome this hurdle, that's why they are very good. Okay, and one of it, they are definitely being supported by their husband and also their whole family. So the fact that, whether your husband actually has given you permission, for us who actually managed to come up, this far, that is actually one of the reasons why we are here, because we have husband and family who are not like any other people. Okay, who actually seeing that the way we have to actually lead, because we have the capability, and of course our husband, our children knows how important they are to be with us. So I definitely have problem when people say that behind every successful man there's a woman. Because actually
Let's work together.
beside every successful man and women, there is actually another man and women. Okay, and I guess this is actually the narrative that you need to correct. Okay, and this might be coming from, even like this political parties more for religious, a slogan, for instance. Then, of course, the fact that women should only do things based on the husband permission. Okay, it is actually, you have to see the whole context of it,
Yeah.
the landscape.
Yeah.
And in fact, the reason why women wants to be leader is not because for our own agenda. When women leads, we leads for the generation.
Yeah.
We have the future generation interest, within us.
Yeah.
And most probably that is why we need to have women on the negotiation table and decision making, because we need to remind all of us, when we suddenly get so, bogged down with our own personal agenda, there will be one woman who say, look, this is not going to be good for our future generation. We need that women. Okay? Of course, there are women who might not be like this. Okay? They might still be very selfish, or, still very, self-oriented. But generally, women, when they lead, it is always for the interest of their family and their future generation. And Malaysia needs that women to be there.
Women hold up half the sky, they say, right?
And Dato', when you mentioned that the party needs a slogan to empower women to maybe participate, What do you think are the crucial steps that the government can take to address this issue?
Okay. I always talk about, Atira and Adila about followership, which is actually part of leadership. But of course, even listening to followership is something quite, extraordinary or awkward because we rarely talk about it. But it is from followership that you can get leadership. Those who actually being good followers, they are going to be good leaders. And it is not a kind of relationship where leaders is up there and followers is down here. It's just the other side of the coin. So it's just like when I talk, you listen. Then of course, when I lead, you follow. But maybe this evening, or this tomorrow, you will be leading and I will follow. So we need to have a different narrative about followership and leadership. And then women would look at, being a follower doesn't mean you have to be passive and always being sidelined. You are as important to take that role. And of course, people who are always being leaders, they need to remember that they are also followers.
Yeah.
So I think that would be, well, of course, when you want to change a narrative or, paradigm shift, you have to start with the younger generation, and the respect. And of course, you just don't say that, women, what do they know? We know a lot of things. And I would like to add on to that, Adila, when you say 50%, of course, we are 50% of the population, but the other 50% comes from our uterus. You can imagine that,
That's true.
And it means what? Actually, it's so true when Ruby Medican says when you educate a man, you're educating an individual, but when you educate a woman, you're educating a generation.
Correct.
Yes.
So I think, we should not wait anymore. We have wasted too much time, not putting our women where they should be.
Yeah.
Okay?
I love that.
I want to
Educating
add a
women.
bit on that, just a bit. When you talk about leadership and followers, I think a good leader always will be able to produce another leader
Yeah.
for tomorrow. And men's leadership is different. Yeah, you try to. That's why we have warlords in politics. The veterans that are going to be there forever. So yeah, I think women's leadership is different. So they are in terms of relational skills, they are more collaborative. But I hope women leaders that we have today or after general election will be able to, to mentor more younger people.
Yeah.
Future
Future leaders.
leaders. Yeah, especially women.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned leadership style just now. For women, leaders are different than male leaders.
Yeah.
I want to get into that. Perhaps you can expand more on what are the characteristics of female leadership that make them unique to their male counterpart.
So we bring different perspective, different experience on the table, because we have experience as mothers, and most of them actually taking care of our family. So people would say like women are emotional. So emotional intelligence is very important as traits of leadership, because you have this empathy, you understand your followers, you understand the needs of your community. You remember that you are. You are a part of these groups that are being sidelined, being treated as second citizens, so you can empathize with that. So you bring in different perspective, different experiences, and you be more attentive. That's the kind of leadership that we look up today. You look at Jacinda Ardern, the way she handles New Zealand after the massacre. So
Jacinda Ardern.
yeah.
I would like to add on that.
Yes, please.
You see, there is more and more research that shows women actually bring in a different form of leadership. All right? And now, this is not just women being leaders and they will come up with this. We call it a kind of characteristic, feminine leadership, and leadership with masculine trait.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that only female actually have this feminine. You can actually have men with that, and also female leader with a lot of masculine trait. Okay, but when there's one study which involved 64,000 respondents from all over the world, and this was actually published in the Human Business Review. You see, when they were being asked what would be the characteristic that is needed for our model leaders, so they actually give a list of criteria and characteristic. And the top 10, out of that 10, 8 are actually characteristic which is deemed to be feminine trait. Empathy, ability to connect with others, okay, patient. While the two masculine trait is actually decisiveness, and then one more is resilient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that shows we bring in a lot more. And I remember reading, now in the 21st century where we have artificial intelligence, most of the female masculine trait of leadership is being taken over by the artificial intelligence.
Oh.
So we need more of the humanistic
the
kind of.
EQ.
So definitely this is the time
Humane
to be
approach.
women leaders. And
Yes.
I would like to quote Helena Morrissey, who says in his book, "A good time to be a girl." This is
Yeah.
really the time for women to lead.
So from what both of you are saying is that women definitely have all it takes to be a leader, right? But some people are saying that women are not made or born to become leaders, right?
Yes, for instance, the video that went viral a few months ago where Datuk Nur Hidayah Ahmad Zahid on social media on Sinar Daily's Politically Frank episode said that women were not born to be leaders. Do you think such public figures with a big following on Instagram or on social media in general that could perpetuate these types of views could contribute to the problem because they are with big followers and they will, a lot of girls, young girls maybe would be looking at the video and be like, maybe I cannot be a leader because I'm a girl, I'm a woman, I cannot. Do you think such thing could be contributing to the
Can
problem?
I go first?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Firstly, when I first heard about that,
Yes.
I actually could not understand what she's talking about. Okay, so that's on my personal input. Of course, when you are an influencer, you have maybe millions of followers. Whatever you say would actually go down through your followers. But you have to remember that, we are not just following this one person. We are also being influenced by others as well. And I guess that is something which is very paradoxical to be mentioned at this era where everybody is sort of, fighting and of course looking up to, maximize our potential. That is such a, I would say, a counterproductive statement. Okay, so I'm not worried about the impact, Adila and Atira, because I believe that we are definitely very critical. Okay, and I do not know what was actually the background to that statement. Yeah, but I guess we can just put it aside as just one kind of random statement. But the general consensus is that women have to start to. Of course, none of us are born leaders, most probably.
Yes.
Okay, but leadership can be trained.
Yeah,
Yes.
nurtured.
And most importantly, we have to give the opportunity, for us to take up the role and start leading from where we are.
Okay, I'm going to take from that and look into, for example, the quote-unquote traditional or historical role that women play in politics, which is to play a crucial role in getting grassroots movement, activating the knocking on doors, especially
Yes.
during election, campaigning for the chosen candidate. That has always been the mold role that women play in, how many GEs. And do you think that mold is constricting because it made people not consider women as beyond just grassroots movements, activators or knocking on doors, that women can actually be the one that these people campaign for? Do you think that is a restricting?
Okay, we have to look at women's strengths. Okay, do not change that narrative. Okay, women are good campaigners.
Okay.
Women are
Great
good,
campaigners.
party workers. They are great. They played their role significantly during general elections or before and after actually. So let's stop there.
Yeah.
Let acknowledge that. Okay, but we know that some women are too comfortable with that rules. They don't want to go beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we want to change, and to change that we need everybody to be on board. We need the religious scholars to talk about this, to talk
Start
about the
promoting,
importance
right?
of having women as leaders. That it's okay, it's fine to have to have a women leader in your
Yeah.
organization. You have to to engage with other main scholars or main public figures to talk about this. You have to make this discourse visible about women can be leaders. It's not about what else do women want. stop that kind of narrative, because you're questioning women's capability, you are questioning women's needs.
Yeah.
You just have to put a different narrative, more, I would say aggressive,
Demanding.
but okay, I try to cool down.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
but more
No need to cool down.
demanding is the right road, perhaps. Yeah, yes, women can
Demand.
be leaders. That's it. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna?
That's the question that you're going to
yeah.
pose to the
Yes.
next. Okay, very quick, like rapid fire, because we need to wrap up.
Yes.
I want to know your wish list for because political parties are going to start publishing and communicating their manifestos for the coming GE.
Very, very
So
soon.
what would be your wish list? What do you want to hear them promote and pitch to you to get your vote?
Okay, I want them to walk their talk. Okay,
Walk their talk.
all
Okay, walk
right.
their talk.
Secondly, I want to see more women candidates on the safe havens, so that that is really serious
Winnable.
talking, winnable. Okay.
Okay.
And another thing, this should be the GE that inspire women to be the future leaders.
Yes.
Not really something that going to put us down anymore. We had waited long enough.
Okay, Doctor?
I echo what Prof. Halina said just
Okay.
now, but I would like to see more women coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
And when the party did not actually fill in 30% women, you have to say no. We want
Call them
at
out.
least.
Call them out,
Call them
yes.
out loud.
Okay.
Not just it's okay. They just know what they are doing. No, don't do that anymore.
Yes.
This is about the time we have to be more assertive, more
Yes.
aggressive.
Right.
Claim your space and claim your right because you've been doing a lot of things in politics. You've been
Yes.
contributing enough. So this is your prime time for those women who wants to be leaders. I'm not talking about those women who say, okay, it's okay for me to be here. I
Yeah.
don't want to be up front. No, I'm talking about those women are willing,
Okay.
who are capable,
Yep.
to be leaders.
Okay.
Speak up.
We will look forward to your demands
Yes.
in the next few weeks coming to the GE. But
Inshallah.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
Prof.
Thank you.
Halina and Dr. Zairini, for your amazing, great insights. And I really hope that our viewers, they feel
Inspired,
but also
by the
relieved,
also relieved that we know that there are supportive and encouraging, empowering women out there that maybe
Are rooting for you.
Yes, are rooting for you, and maybe this could inspire you to maybe participate in politics at an early age and have no fear on participating in politics.
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
I hope you were inspired by this fruitful conversation. And we are running out of time.
Yes,
So
we need to wrap.
before that, don't forget to follow Sinar Daily on all of our social media platforms. And for your latest news, log on to sinardaily.my and tune in for the next episode of Relatable. I'm Atira Miradi.
I'm Adila Azam.
And thank you for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode.